I was married to a wonderful woman. We dated since college before getting married 10 years ago. We have a 7-year-old son together. About 3 years ago, my wife died. She was suffering from a chronic illness for many years and had a surprising complication during surgery. Crohn's disease, if it matters to anyone. I was devastated, and it was really hard to explain to my kid, who was 4 at the time. We were both in a very bad place. We had great support systems in the form of my parents and siblings and my late wife's parents and sister, who was 28 years old. I thought they were all there for me and my son and offered a lot of help, but still I was in a pretty bad place, and I admit I may have dropped the ball on a few things regarding my son. My wife, whenever he would go to a new place, daycare, kindergarten, etc., would immediately befriend some of the parents, and my kid would immediately have a lot of play dates and make friends. Since she passed, I failed at this completely. I was never the friendliest guy, and with my wife gone, I got even more withdrawn. This resulted in my kid being bullied in first grade. The school did not really do anything, and I got frustrated. This ended up in me going over to some parents' houses, losing my cool, and making a whole lot of threats and smashing a few garden decorations. It worked because they seemed to back off, but at the same time, my kids still did not really have any friends, and my own reputation went to garbage. I suppose I earned that. During that time, my wife's family were supportive and helpful, but also, thinking back, her sister would sometimes throw jabs at me about how her sister would have handled it better, how I was constantly messing up, etc. It was overall jokey and not common, and I appreciated everything she and her parents were doing. I did not make a huge deal out of it, but it did hurt. Also, I started noticing how they would constantly talk up my late wife whenever I did something, and I did not really blame them. I talk her up a lot too. She was wonderful, and I think I did a good job of making sure she felt loved and appreciated in life. But I still am having trouble coming to grips with just how much I miss her, and how much she meant to me and did for me and our son. And yeah, how much better off we all would have been if she was still around and all this mess would not have happened. Still, them constantly bringing it up also really makes me feel terrible about how I am handling things. I know I am not as good at a lot of this stuff as she was, but I am doing my best. And constantly hearing how I am messing up and how much better she would have done is not helping any. But this was not really common and did not seem too offensive. But I still needed to do something about my kid. I had my son transfer schools over the summer, and this time I did what my wife would have done. I reached out to some parents, got some play dates and activities going before the school year even started, and it was hard for me, but also it paid off. My kid started 2nd grade a few months ago and is thriving. He has friends and is constantly over at his friends' homes or brings friends over to ours. But this means I suddenly found myself with a lot of time alone, and it has been kind of rough. I go to therapy since last year after the threats and the ruined garden decorations, and it helps. But at the same time, my therapist is not my friend. My new friends are great, but they are all couples, and I am still very alone. Yeah, I had my wife do all the social heavy lifting for me before, I get it. But I did not really keep in touch with what is essentially her friends, and even if I did, they are also all married or in relationships, and I am still the odd one out. I just wanted to try and find someone again who would maybe help me feel something like I did with my wife, a connection. I signed up for a dating app. I actually had a relatively good experience. I went on a few dates, and it was nice. However, when I was visiting my wife's family the following week, her sister apparently had seen me on the app and said she could not believe I was looking to hook up instead of concentrating on being a father. I told her I was not looking to hook up but was genuinely looking for a relationship. She said this was even worse because I was replacing her sister so soon and was bringing another woman into my son's life who was not his mother. Her mother stuck up for me at first and said it had been long enough and it is good that I am moving on, but my sister-in-law said I was not really moving on. I was just looking for a maid because I was doing such a bad job of raising my son and taking care of my home. I lost it and told her to go to hell, and how dare she talk like that to me in front of my son, who was really upset by now. We got into a huge fight before I took my son and left. But during it, I was accused of being a terrible father and terrible husband. And at that point, my mother-in-law and father-in-law were completely on my sister-in-law's side. I want to think that a lot of the things they told me about me not helping around the house enough or not being involved enough were not right, and my wife would not actually tell them those things about me. And I think I was a good husband and a good father, and nothing my wife ever told me made me think she did not think I was. But also, it got me really upset, and I have not spoken to them since. This was about 2 months ago, right after my kid started at his new school, and I was feeling really proud of myself for handling it and being a good dad, and this just deflated me completely. I was not certain I never want to talk to them again, but I did not want to talk to them right now. About a month ago, I started dating someone new, a 34-year-old woman. We have been getting along really well and have been seeing each other practically every other day because I thought this could turn into something serious. I brought her over to meet my kid. They really hit it off, and it has been great. With that out of the way, I made the mistake of uploading a picture of me and her to my social media, since we talked and decided we were going to be exclusive and this was a serious relationship for both of us. I was really happy and felt like I was starting to move on with my life, and that my son was in a good place. And for once in 3 years, things were going my way. Well, today my girlfriend asked me to meet, and I did. She showed me her Instagram direct messages. My sister-in-law reached out to her. She sent her a message telling her how she was my late wife's sister, and she saw our picture. She wrote that she thought my girlfriend should know that I was a terrible husband, and I was neglecting and mistreating my wife. She said I had been unfaithful, that I have been a terrible dad, and what is worse, she sprinkled in things that were true to make the rest feel more believable. She told her about my son having to transfer schools because I was threatening parents and kids, which I know I was, but I was in such a terrible place and have been working hard to move past it. She told her that I was manipulative and financially abusive, that I was a narcissist. It was heartbreaking to read because up until signing up to the apps, I thought even if they sometimes talked crap, they did care about me. I explained to my girlfriend that some of it was true, but that some was complete lies. I never treated my wife badly. I tried really hard to be a good father and a good husband, and I really think I was. I was always trying to support her dreams and interests. I was doing my share of housework and parenting, even though I worked more, and I get it. Maybe I was not good enough, but I was good. I did not lie or cheat or isolate her or any of that stuff. We talked a lot, and I thought she was happy. When we fought, there was not any name-calling or belittling or any ugly stuff that I can think of. And we talked and worked things out. I never did most of the things her sister said I did, certainly none of the stuff she said I did to her, and this is killing me. My girlfriend said she needed some time to think, and I did not want to bother her with texts or calls because I did all I could to convince her, and I hope she can get past that. But honestly, I cannot blame her if she cannot. And if she says this is a deal breaker for her, there is not really much I can do about it. But even worse, what do I do about my sister-in-law? My blood is boiling, and I have no one I can really talk to about this. And hell, even if my girlfriend breaks up with me and I try to move on, what if she does it again? I just do not know what to do. And I am so angry and so heartbroken. I just wanted to write this all out to tell someone, and maybe someone here has an idea. What do I do about my sister-in-law? Is it anything I did to cause her to do this? And most importantly, is there a way I can reasonably reach out to my girlfriend to convince her without disrespecting her boundaries? For context, my partner and I have been together for over 6 years. At the beginning of our relationship, I was working while she was completing her master's degree, which meant we spent much of that time in a long-distance relationship. Everything was great, and I truly fell in love with her, and I still do love her. Up until 2023, I was in stable employment. I then moved into a new role, but unfortunately I was let go due to a cultural fit. I was upset, as this was a perfect role, but I accepted that these things happen at some point. It was also the first and only time I have been fired from a role. Throughout the second half of 2023, I actively searched for work, but this coincided with a significant downturn in the job market in the United Kingdom. The year before had been amazing for job hopping, but suddenly interviews became far harder to secure. In the latter half of 2023, I enrolled in a full-time course that ran for 4 months, Monday to Friday, 9 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. In hindsight, the course oversold its employability outcomes and did not lead to the opportunities I had hoped for. Eventually, in 2024, I secured a role, my first sales job. Unfortunately, I struggled in the position. Despite this, I persevered for around 8 months, pushing myself daily, continuously striving and trying to improve my sales targets and continue to learn. The company began letting go of low-performing staff. I was told by colleagues that my sales figures put me at risk. I was scheduled for a performance review, which was effectively a dismissal meeting. I chose to resign just before the review, as the company does not provide references to employees who are fired. My manager, who I had a good relationship with, implied to me, without saying it directly, that I made the best choice for myself, as I would still be able to get a reference. Fast forward to 2025 and I find myself struggling once again in an extremely challenging United Kingdom job market. I have applied for virtually everything imaginable: retail, hospitality, sales roles in my field, entry-level positions, everything. I even applied to be Santa. However, nothing materialized. I have on average 2 to 3 interviews per month, but the competition is intense. Many roles I apply for have had hundreds of applicants, and when it comes down to final stages, jobs have just gone to other people. During this time, my partner and I have grown increasingly distant. I get the strong impression that she is fed up. She wants to have a child by 30 and to buy a house next year, and she feels that I am holding her back. She has said that I am not currently able to support those goals, which at this moment in time is true. But there is nothing stopping me from being able to support those goals and help her get there if I manage to land on my feet soon. Although I understand that she has waited a long time and you can only be patient for so long, I also feel that she has lost a significant amount of respect for me. I raised concerns with her about the emotional distance between us, that we spend less time together, that she feels withdrawn, and that I do not feel uplifted or supported. Her response was that she is exhausted from work, that seeing each other once a week is enough, and that she feels she has been holding the relationship together. We are not necessarily frivolous people who spend a lot of money, and I still have offered to pay for dates and restaurants when I can, although she probably pays more, 65-35 in her favor. Sometimes we split. We always have tended to take turns in the relationship. She also said that I have not been expressive enough and that she no longer feels loved. I accept that criticism and take responsibility for the fact that I may not have shown love in the way she needs. However, I have always supported her, believed in her, and have never stopped loving her. I acknowledge that the stress of prolonged unemployment has probably made me emotionally distant without fully realizing it. She went on to say that the relationship feels stagnant, that she is tired of people asking when I will have a full-time job again, and that she hates seeing others get engaged and move forward while we remain stuck. This was particularly painful, as I had always planned to move in with her and propose. In fact, I intended to get engaged in 2025, but financial instability has made that impossible. I have always told her that as soon as I am back on my feet, moving in together, an engagement is happening. The prolonged stress has also affected my mental and physical health. While I continue to exercise and eat well, I have developed health issues related to stress and am currently on 3 medications. Nothing severe, but significant nonetheless. I feel that the lack of emotional support from her has contributed to a negative feedback loop where stress and distance reinforce each other. For example, when I attend an interview and receive a rejection, her response is often along the lines of, "This is dragging on, you need to get a job soon, or we will not last." While this may be factually true, I believe that when a partner is struggling, support should come before pressure. I understand why she feels the way she does. She has been patient, but it feels as though she has reached her breaking point. Recently, I told her that if she is genuinely unhappy, then perhaps we should end the relationship and go our separate ways. I would rather be alone than stay in a relationship where I feel I am holding someone back or making them miserable. She responded by saying she is willing to try. But if I do not secure a job within the next few months, the relationship will end. She feels she needs to find someone who can meet her life timeline. I agreed, but the ultimatum immediately felt wrong. It feels less like a partnership and more like a countdown. I am already applying relentlessly, attending interviews, and upskilling through courses in my spare time. The idea that the relationship could end solely because of a difficult couple of years in my career is devastating. It is also worth noting that my partner has experienced periods of unemployment herself, albeit not as long as mine. She is currently on a 12-month contract and has had gaps of months between roles, up to 4 months at one point. Her job role is relatively niche, and as a result, she is almost guaranteed interviews when roles arise. But vacancies are not available all year round, and competition is also quite intense. It is not like she is immune to being in my position. I do not think my love for her would go away if she went through something like I am. Maybe it would, who knows? Easier said than done. And I accept that this leaves me questioning whether the relationship is truly salvageable or whether it is already nearing its end. Even if I do secure a job, I worry that the doubt will remain about whether I can sustain employment or provide long-term stability. Prior to 2024, I worked full-time for 4 years onward after graduating from university and have worked various roles for years prior while I was studying. It is not a case of having nothing to show or lacking work ethic. I fully understand her reasoning and her fears, as women are more on a clock than I am as a man. But despite that, something about the situation still does not sit right with me. Any advice? The whole situation is just regrettable. There has been no infidelity, no abuse, no mistreating each other. We got on well. I am aware I need to get my life sorted out as well. On one side, I am leaning towards just ending it so I can fully focus my mental energy on sorting my life out. But for me, we have had so many amazing years, and to be tarnished by this is a real shame. My philosophy is that in life there are always going to be ups and downs, even more difficult than this, such as aging parents, death, pregnancy, financial pressures of owning a house, getting older, illness. It is really a case of, if this relationship cannot survive this, then what would it be like if things really hit the fan? Also, the job market really is not doing itself any favors, at least in the United Kingdom at least. I am also contemplating jobs abroad if things do not work out, and if this relationship ends, this might push me towards that direction. I have also done every single tweak to resumes, curriculum vitaes, upskilling, applicant tracking system keywords, all the LinkedIn tricks, speaking to recruiters, job agencies, everything. But nothing has worked out. I just feel useless as a man and feel redundant in this world. I appreciate honesty. I know I'm not perfect either. Have struggled with this job market. Partner has had enough and has issued an ultimatum. If I do not get a job, it is over, Bob. My girlfriend and I have been together since senior year of high school. We are renting a house together, and both of our names are on the lease. We are very serious and have openly discussed with each other that we would like to get married, but we are waiting until we are financially stable and done with college. Recent events are tearing me up. Our relationship has had rough patches in the past, but we have not had a serious argument in almost 2 years. Things have been going great. The car she is taking is her car. She bought it with her money, though I am the one who got her an insane deal since she bought it from a family friend. But in the end, it is her car. She has had the car and her license for 2 or 3 months now, and has still preferred me driving her to work and picking her up with her car, as she still felt uncomfortable, which I did not mind. Recently, she decided she would start driving herself to and from work. I should also point out that I wrecked my car about 2 months ago, and her car was the only car I have been driving. I have no legal right to the car, and honestly, the car is not the big deal here. The big deal is her behavior and a suspicious Google search I found on my desktop by accident, which she uses far more often than me. The first day she went to work by herself, she told me she wanted to stay at her coworker's house. They were going to get drunk, have a girls' night, whatever. I told her to have fun and just let me know she was safe and text me goodnight and all that. We have very rarely had a night apart since starting college. I'm not used to it, but I want her to have fun. She has the next day off work and tells me she will be coming home the next morning. The next morning, no text from her. I wait until about 1 in the afternoon and text her asking if she is okay. I send a couple more texts as I get more and more worried until she finally replies that she is fine at about 4 in the afternoon and she will be heading home soon. She does not make it home until 9 in the evening, but that is okay. She was having fun with her coworker, and I know she is safe now. She is very distant and wants almost nothing to do with me, though she does apologize for worrying me. She plays around on the computer for a few hours, and we both go to bed. I wake up and she is heading out to a work team building exercise thing. You know how corporations love those. I tell her to have fun and sleep in. She comes back home, bringing me some groceries, and leaves again after about a half hour to go hang out with another coworker, promising she will let me know what is going on. I hear very little from her until she says she is going back to her other coworker's house, but she will be back later. She stays the night once again, worrying me to death and not telling me she is staying the night until the next day, right before her work starts. And I get a, "Sorry I fell asleep there" message. Please keep in mind we literally are almost always together if we are not at work. I know a lot of relationships are not like that, but we worry about each other if we do not see each other every day. I do not think I am being overbearing, but if I am, please let me know. We have always told each other everything about what we are doing and where we are going our whole relationship. Time comes that her shift is supposed to end, and she texts me and tells me her coworker called out and she has to work until 3 in the morning. This happens sometimes, so I think nothing of it and sympathize with her. I fall asleep waiting for her and wake up at 5 in the morning, and she is still not home, but arrives within about 10 minutes of me waking up, obviously tired, and we go back to bed. I finally borrow the car early in the morning before she has to go to work, as I am going completely stir-crazy having been locked in the house for almost a week, and get back an hour before she has to go to work. We talk a little bit, usual stuff, and she heads off to work. That night she gets off work and lets me know she is going to visit her coworker's house again. And surprise, surprise, she stays the night without telling me and goes to work from there. Overnight, maybe this is wrong, but I have just been so worried and starting to get suspicious at this point. I check Google Maps again. It says she is at that apartment complex again, way after her shift ended. It looks less like GPS drift. Come today, she apologizes. She will come back home right after work and bring our dog's flea medicine since he has been itching badly lately. Around 11 at night, an hour after her shift ended, I texted her and asked if she was on the way home or at the store yet. She says she is at the store. I say, okay, let me know when you are on the way home. An hour later, midnight, 4 hours ago from now, she is still not home and no texts. My curiosity gets the best of me, and I check Google again. That same apartment complex. I call her. She does not pick up. She texts me and tells me I am being controlling, and that she is going to go out to eat with friends and come back later tonight. I told her that I am sorry if she thought I was being controlling, and I was just worried she might have been in an accident. It is about this time that I want to look up a wiki page on my desktop that I was browsing earlier on my phone. I go over to history on my Chrome, and under recently closed tabs I see a Google search. My boyfriend is more attractive than me. Now I know this is a bit of an ironic self-own, but there is no way in the world that is about me. She is 100% the more attractive one in this relationship, to be honest. I have kind of let myself go over the past few years. It is something I am working on. Plus I started balding, which is not something I can really work on anyway. She has self-image issues, which explains why she would even search a thing like that in the first place. I go back and look at the history, thinking maybe it is song lyrics or something. Nope. She clicked pages talking about why a more attractive man would date a less attractive woman, and what to do when a man is more attractive, etc. I am really worried now. She has not come home tonight. I am losing my mind. I tried desperately to get my wrecked car to start, but no luck. What if she is cheating on me? Am I actually an abusive person for worrying about her? Is everything I think I am wrong? Of course I checked Google again, same apartment complex. I want to drive up there and see what the hell is going on, but my car will not start. And I know I will look crazy if I were to do it. And even crazier if I am just twisting all of this and it is all innocent, and nothing is going on. I am losing my mind, and I do not know what to do. We have started building our life together. Is it all crashing down? Am I about to be homeless without even a car? And she has not replied anything of meaning to me. I have not said anything to her about the Google search or me being suspicious or anything. I figure if I did mention it to her and she is being unfaithful, she just will not come back. Am I crazy? What do I do? Am I being abusive in the fact that I am using Google Maps to see where she is? I feel like trash every time I do it, but I am losing my mind and she is rarely replying to texts, and when she does, often with one-word answers. Someone please help me work through this. I will be eternally grateful. I am sorry for the word wall. My girlfriend has become distant out of nowhere, staying away from the house for multiple days at a time, being cold to me whenever she does come home, and seems to be lying about her location. Suspicious search on my browser history. Am I paranoid? Am I crazy? What do I do? This is on a throwaway account, as I don't want this associated with my main account. I apologize ahead of time for the length, but I'm seriously at a loss as to what to do and I really need help. If you want to skip the backstory and go to the current situation, feel free. I have been battling severe issues with my reproductive system since I was 10 years old. My periods are painful beyond belief, extremely heavy, and they last an average of 2 weeks. It never fails that I miss a day of work or some other obligation because of my period issues. Additionally, sex is very painful for me, and I have never been able to enjoy it. As a result, I avoid intercourse. I have been to countless doctors and specialists. I was diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome as a teenager, and only recently, as in a few months ago, got diagnosed with endometriosis and vaginismus. I have low chances of ever conceiving. These issues have been difficult for me to overcome. I confided my concerns and worries with my friends Melissa, who is 28 years old, and our mutual friend Kate. I met Kate when I was volunteering at the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, and Queer Resource Center at my university, after coming out as bisexual. Melissa asked me if I would be willing to support her by volunteering there. I was happy to do it, and as a result, I got to know her group of friends at the center. At the time I knew Kate, she identified as James and was interested in men. Shortly after graduating, I met my current boyfriend Sean, who is 30 years old. Our relationship has been wonderful, but at times I've become anxious and insecure over my health issues. During the course of our relationship, I would share my concerns with Melissa and Kate, explaining how I loved Sean, but wanted him to be able to have his own children and enjoy a healthy sex life, and I had even considered leaving him early in the relationship. They reassured me during my weak moments and have really helped me be more secure in myself and my relationship. Recently, Kate came out to the group as being transgender, and she's exploring how she wants to express her identity. She oscillates between going by James or Kate and using male pronouns. But to simplify the story, I'm going to refer to her by the name and pronouns she currently identifies with. Kate's admission was well received by the group, and we've been happy to support her. Shortly after she came out, Kate asked me if I would go shopping with her and help her with her makeup. I was thrilled. I love fashion and makeup, and I'm a sucker for a good makeover. Plus, I was excited to be there with her as she began to embrace her new life. At first, Kate didn't want to buy or try anything on, but on the second and third trips to the mall, she was avidly trying on clothing and shoes. She began to make strange comments during these trips, saying things like, "This is how a real woman looks," and critiquing my appearance compared to hers. It was a bit odd to me, but I figured she was just trying to process the changes in her appearance, and I brushed it off. My boyfriend and I were looking for someone to rent out a room in our house. Our previous roommate had moved in with his boyfriend, and we had an open space. We owned the house, so we weren't on a strict timeline. Kate needed a temporary place to stay for about 3 months while she was between apartments. I invited her to stay in our vacant room for free, and she moved in 2 months ago. Right when Kate moved in, we began to have friction. I was always closer to Melissa than Kate, but I was surprised to find out how much I didn't actually know about her. Some things, her messiness and coming home late, weren't a big deal. But then, she started borrowing my clothing, shoes, and jewelry without asking, and would quip that my stuff needed to be on a real woman. At first I would laugh it off, but the comments kept happening, again and again. I finally asked her to stop borrowing my things without permission, and she got a little huffy and said it was fine anyway because my stuff was too big on her. I told her that her comment was out of line. She said she was just trying to help me be a better woman, that I needed to watch my figure, and I am not even close to being overweight, and that I should be more mindful of my appearance around my boyfriend. These comments and supposed tips about being a better woman and a real woman became standard fare, but they were generally made at the denigration of other women, and of me in particular. About a month ago, Kate started dressing differently around the house, in her bra and panties and other lingerie, but only when Sean was home. The week Sean was away for work, she wore sweats and a t-shirt. The night he came back, she wore a pink teddy that I had helped her pick out when she first came out to the group. The next night, when Sean and I came home from a date, she was wearing a thong and a skimpy bra and was sitting in his office. I finally approached her and told her that while I wanted her to be comfortable in our home, I would appreciate it if she could cover up a bit more when she was in the common areas of the house. She told me to get lost. We didn't talk much after that. About 2 weeks ago, I was helping my family move my grandmother to hospice care. Sean called one night and told me that earlier that day, he was in his office working when Kate walked in wearing just her underwear and offered him a shoulder massage. He politely declined and then went to bed soon after. I thought it sounded completely out of the ordinary. I asked Kate about it later when I got back, and she just laughed, saying that she was getting practice in learning how to please her future man. I asked her to practice on somebody else. She then asked me how I thought I could keep Sean around, if I wouldn't even let him have sex with me. She said it would either be her or someone else to keep him happy, and then she left the room. I was shocked and felt as though I had been gutted. She had taken my health issue, one that has caused me so much emotional and physical pain, and used it to hurt me. I couldn't believe it, and I was so hurt that I really didn't even have the stomach to address it with her further. I did tell Sean about the argument, and he was surprised and angry on my behalf. He told me he was leaving the choice to me, but that he preferred she move out. I didn't talk to Kate at all for the next few days. Then Sean called me upset, saying we needed to talk. I met him on my lunch break, and he told me that Kate had come into his office and begun asking him a lot of questions about our relationship. She was urging him to move on from me, claiming that I was contemplating breaking up with him because we could never have sex. She told him that my health problems were fake and that I wasn't really sexually attracted to him. Sean didn't believe her, and he wanted to talk with me. I knew immediately what had happened and what she had said. He told me he didn't feel comfortable with her living in the house anymore, or having her in our lives at all, and he wanted me to ask her to leave. I was completely shocked at what Kate had done, and I was fuming. I was done putting up with the drama and feeling uncomfortable in my own home. I asked Sean to pack a bag for us so we could stay in a hotel that night, so he could finish his work without her bothering him, and I told him I would handle Kate on my own when I got home. I went up to Kate and said we needed to talk. She didn't look at me. She just kept watching her show on television. I grabbed the remote and turned it off. I'm paraphrasing the conversation, but it went something like this. Me. Our friendship is on its last threads, and we need to discuss what's going on. Your behavior around Sean is making him feel uncomfortable, and frankly, I have been deeply hurt by your words and actions. I don't appreciate your disrespect of Sean and me as your roommates, your use of my health problems as a platform for ridicule, and your constant barrage of snide comments about what real women do. Real women come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, and from all backgrounds, values, and beliefs. Real women are simply people who support their friends instead of tearing them down. Kate, are you done? Kate then told me something that seemed completely insane. She said that she loved Sean, that she had always loved Sean, that she had liked him when she first met him, and that since moving in, her feelings had only grown. She said she knew he liked her too, because she could give him everything I couldn't, and that they had slept together that very day while I was at work. I was flabbergasted. For one, I don't believe for a second that Sean cheated on me. He has given me no reason to think that he would be unfaithful, and her story didn't make sense. The timing was all off. For another, I had no idea how she had become attracted to him at all. She had known Sean only in the context of our friendship. They had never spent extended time together outside of my presence before she moved into our house. It just seemed completely out of left field and far-fetched. I told her that I wasn't going to address that subject, that Sean and I are in a committed relationship, and that the situation with her had gotten to an irreversible point. She needed to leave our home. I told her she would have until Wednesday evening to be out, and that I would help her find an alternate place to stay if she wanted. She instantly became angry and began yelling at me, telling me I was worthless and disgusting, that I was a waste of a woman's body, that I was a terrible friend and a horrible partner for Sean. And then it was as if 2 months of pent-up frustration began to boil over inside me. I told her the discussion was over and she needed to calm down, or I would have her leave immediately. We began yelling at each other, both absolutely furious, until the argument ended like this. Kate, a real woman would be able to have sex with her boyfriend. Me. Yeah, and a real woman doesn't have male anatomy. The look on Kate's face said it all. I was angry and hurt, and in my anger and hurt, I said a terrible, offensive, and awful thing. I knew it was awful right as the words tumbled out of my mouth. It was a despicable thing to say, and I instantly started to apologize, telling her that I was sorry for being so careless with my words and for hurting her feelings. But it was all for nothing. She angrily packed up a bag and left the house. She hasn't talked to me since, and most of our mutual friends refused to speak to me either. One of them made a social media post that said, "When one of your friends turns out to be a bigot," and several of them have unfriended or blocked me altogether. The only person I have been able to get in touch with is Melissa. She came over that night after the fight when I called her crying and distraught. She told me that what I said was wrong, but that Kate had been hurtful too. She said that she doesn't want to get more involved in the situation because she loves us both, but that she would be there for me if I needed her. And now here I am, with no idea what to do or how to approach this situation. I won't defend my words. They are indefensible. What can I do to resolve this situation? Is there a way to salvage our friendship? How do I rebuild trust with our mutual friends? Too long didn't read. I said an offensive and terrible thing to a person I care about and have lost a large group of friends as a result. How do I make things right with Kate? Is there a way to salvage our friendship? How do I rebuild trust with our mutual friends?